In this image, one coded convention is the setting. You have an alleyway here, which is normally linked to the idea of hiding something, hiding away from someone else, and it's used here not only for that idea, but also to hide the people through the darkness. So you have this woman here. It's obvious it's a female from the high hills that we can see, making a shadow on the floor, with a gun and her back to us. The only faces we are able to see are very far in the distance, which makes them blurred. Again, still hiding their identity even though they're looking at the camera. So they are looking straight at the woman with the gun, the idea of the gun representing danger and fear, and obviously their lives are in her hands. She is dressed in a long black coat, which has the iconography of hiding away again, hiding from her true identity. The use of the smoke is again one coding convention of film noir, as it blurs the view, creates fog, it blurs the view for the audience to see what's going on. In this frame we can see the protagonist and the femme fatale. This time the protagonist is closer to the camera and takes up more of the frame to suggest he is one of the main characters in the film. He is again dressed in a suit, which is linked to the idea of authority and power, and normally wealth. The use of the hat hides part of his identity and could have been used as a prop to hide his face at any point throughout the film. He's also holding a cigarette, again like most of the protagonists in a film noir, as one of the parts of their character. So in the background we can see the femme fatale. She is again dressed in a seductive dress to the floor, and it emphasises her femininity. She's got the long curly blonde hair, another key part of a femme fatale's iconography, with the red lips. In her hand, again not as clear as in some of the pictures that I've already shown, is a gun to show that's pointing down to the floor to suggest that she isn't about to kill him, but it still gives her power, and even though she is framed at a further distance from the camera, she has still got the power from the gun that she has in her hand. The use of the lighting again hides parts of their faces to create shadows, again suggesting they possibly have two personalities, one that's evil. She's looking directly at him as if to suggest that's where her focus is. Neither of them are focusing directly at the camera, which makes us feel like creates voyeurism, and us as the audience are watching onto the scene. The way they are standing, he is relaxed against a wall as if not scared by her, probably not realising that she has a gun in her hand as it's sort of hidden away, whereas she is standing upright in a position of to suggest she has the power and an authority. This is an image of a femme fatale as one of the main characters in a film noir. They have used Venetian blinds to create shadows on her face. This could reflect the character may have two personalities, one that's good and one that's bad, which is commonly part of a femme fatale's character. There's normally a twist at the end, which she's been the bad character in the film. She is dressed as a usual femme fatale would be, lots of makeup, red lips and curled hair. Laura Mulvey's gaze could be linked to this image with the use of her leg on show. Everything else is covered up to reflect maybe a hidden identity that she may have, except from the leg, which would reflect the male's focus on the image, and show that even though she looks quite authoritative, she still doesn't have as much power as a man does. We have the usual props such as the cigarette and the alcohol. The way that the table is laid out with two cups would suggest that there's another character sitting where she's looking. The use of director address here makes the audience feel like they are part of the scene, maybe the other character in the frame. Other props also reflect her authority. The money on the table, if you look, hers is in a pile organised with a strap around it as if she's in control, whereas the money nearest to us, whoever this character is, it's not in order, which could reflect the fact that even though the money's over our side, it's still... The dark lighting again is commonly used in film noirs, hiding things from the audience and leaving clues to what may come. We aren't able to see anything except from the table and the light on her face, so we don't know what else is around. Here is another film noir image. We can again see how the female character is dominant over the male, just by the way they are positioned. She is standing up and taller, up higher than he is, which reflects her dominance over him. The use of the gun in her hand also tells us that she is in control and has the power over his life. The shock on his face also reinforces this, as he's obviously surprised at the way she is acting. The fact that he's facing the opposite direction to her tells us that she is sly and able to... He is wearing a suit, which is the common outfit for the male protagonist in a film noir. The fact that he hasn't got a tie on and it's scruffy reflects a stressful character and the shock of what he is seeing. The use of the dress she is in reflects the way a femme fatale is seductive, and the way she is positioned with her hand on her hip also reinforces this. The use of the door frames shows us the idea of barriers, especially for him. He's obviously trapped in her web. The use of the lines of the stairs also reinforces this idea that he is trapped from her. The dark lighting is again used in this image to hide things from the audience, create clues for them and not give them the entire picture, so that they are trapped in the film and wanting to find out more. The use of the cigarette is again used in this image to show its importance as part of the character's iconography in the film noirs. They're both, she is dressed in dark black to reflect her evil personality, whereas he is in white, which has the connotations of innocence and purity. He's unaware of her and what she is really wanting to do. We can see shadows of her figure and his behind his head, which again could suggest the idea of two identities, her being evil now. The lighting is also coming through the door, it's not directly on them, to create more things hidden and to suggest that she is evil. The use of setting in this image is very good as part of film noir. We can see it's one long tunnel with a light at the end of the tunnel. The use of the dark lighting again is another coded convention of film noir, as it's a good place to be able to hide away from the truth of the story. In this frame we can see a man running away as if escaping from something, but the way it's shot we cannot see what's behind the camera to know what he's running away from, again creating an info codes for the audience. The idea that he's running towards the light could suggest he's running away from the evil, running into the good, escaping from whatever danger happened to him in the plot. The use of the brick creates lines and could suggest barriers, again stopping him from escaping. The way it's derelict and the water running in the middle of the path again all adds to the atmosphere of not knowing what could be down there. In this film noir image, again the woman is seen as the dominant character between the two main characters of a film noir. In this it looks like a setting of a bar. Again we have the idea of the atmosphere is isolated to the protagonist, there is no one around him, empty chairs that are turned up as if he's the only one left in the bar. Again we have the use of the cigarette and the drink, again something commonly used by the protagonist. He is dressed in a suit to suggest authority and wealth, and a hat again that could be used to hide his identity. The use of the stairs creates a difference in height to suggest she is more dominant. The woman is standing on with one hip bent again to show off that her feminine curves, and could be linked to the Laura Mulvey male gaze again. We can see from the light behind her that there is a gun in her hand to again give her power over the male, who is unaware that she is behind him at the moment. The way the lighting is set, it makes it very dark in the space. One clear light is from the cigarette smoke, again used a lot in film noirs. The dark lighting shadows on her face especially, so we are unaware of what she actually looks like. All we know is that she's holding a gun. I like the positioning of the two characters in this frame for film noir. So the woman is still dressed seductively like a normal femme fatale, just the way the smoke is falling onto him as if she still has control over him. He is leaning in to touch her hand, but she's pulling it away as if she is the one with the power over the situation they're both in. It's set in a bar, which is a common setting for film noir. She has a drink in her hand. He is still dressed in a suit, showing authority, and the smoke that creates a mist across the rest of the scene, so we can't see the rest of the enigmas in the scene for the audience. This is probably my favourite film noir image I've found. I like the way she is still at the forefront of the frame again, so we know that she's one of the main characters and the main focus of this scene. But I like the way that the setting of the corridor has made barriers between her and him. So he is hidden behind a door and is very small in comparison to her in the frame. So we can see that she, even though she looks fearful and scared and turning her face away from him, she still is in control and has the power over him, being closer to the frame. This time she is not dressed as much as a traditional film femme fatale. Her dress is a lot shorter this time, but she's still in heels and still has a cocktail in her hand. The way the lighting is coming out of the door again creates enigmas. We don't know who is behind the door, where it's coming from. The fact that he is looking towards the light and she is looking away from it could suggest the difference in personalities. He is also standing in light, whereas she is in the darkness, again telling us about who is good and who is bad within the film. All the doors are closed around her, which could suggest she is trapped, or maybe trapping him. Instead, he has a door open on him, so has the chance to escape. This image is looking at the male protagonist of the film noir. I like the way the lighting falls down on the wall, creating a triangle of a shape, so that the darkness is still on either side of the frame, creating shadows and enigmas for the audience still. I also like the idea that the male is off-centre, could be suggesting he doesn't have complete control over his life, or that he is not the centre of attention in this film. He's looking away from the camera and smoking, again traditional action by a male protagonist in a film noir. He's wearing all black, could suggest he has an evil side, and it's covering him to the floor, creating shadows, hiding away. He is again isolated, another key theme that runs through film noirs. I like the use of lighting in this image, so we can see the reflection of a hand and a knife, and the shadow is actually on her head, the femme fatale's head. Could suggest she is weaker or wants to look weaker in front of him, as the way she is positioned looks like she's trying to look up to him, wants protection from him. He is looking straight at the person with the knife and with a serious facial expression. He is again dressed in a suit, which is a coding convention of the protagonist in the film noir. She again has the red lips, red nails, curly blonde hair, all traditional for a femme fatale. The shadows again are behind both of them, black all over behind the man as well as the arm, again creating enigmas for the audience. She this time is in white, which contradicts the normal interpretation of the colour white as innocence and purity, but this could be because she's trying to create that impression in front of him, who is in fact in a black blazer but has a white shirt on underneath, which could suggest